Welcome to the second part of biogas and biogas plant management. This session is a continuation of the previous session detailing about the types of biogas plant. In the previous session, we have already discussed about the fixed type and the floating drum type biogas plant. So, there are different types of floating drum plants that includes the KVIC model with a cylindrical digester. It is the oldest and most widespread floating drum biogas plant from India. Then there is Prakriti model. Then there is Ganesh model made of angular steel and plastic foil. Then there is floating drum plant made of prefabricated reinforced concrete compound units. Then the floating drum plant made of fiberglass reinforced polyester. Then there is low-cost floating drum plants made of plastic water containers or fiberglass drums. Then there is a Boda model. The Boda plant combines the static advantages of hemispherical digester with the pressure stability of the floating drum and the longer lifespan of the water jacket plant. Beside the fixed type and the floating drum type, there are also other types of biogas plant like the low-cost polyethylene tube digester. It consists of a tubular polyethylene film bent at each end around a 6-inch PVC drain pipe and is wound with rubber scrap of recycled tire tubes. The next one is a balloon plant. A balloon plant consists of a heat-sealed plastic or rubber bag combining digester and gas holder. The gas is stored in the upper part of the balloon. The inlet and outlet are attached directly to the skin of the balloon. Advantages of balloon plant include standardized prefabrication at low cost, low construction sophistication, ease of transportation, uncomplicated cleaning, and easy emptying and maintenance. The disadvantages include low gas pressure that may require gas pumps, and the scum cannot be removed during operation. The plastic balloon has a relatively short useful lifespan. The other kind is the earth pit plants. It has low cost of installation and high potential for self-help approaches. Its disadvantages include it is having a short useful life, and the earth pit plants can only be recommended for installation in impermeable soil located above the groundwater table. Next one is the ferro cement plant. Here the vessel is usually cylindrical and the plants are very small. Its disadvantages include substantial consumption of essentially good quality cement. Workmanship must meet high quality standards. It uses substantial amount of expensive wire mesh, and special sealing measures for the gas holder are necessary. Then the biogas plants are operated based on batch and continuous type. In the batch plants are filled and then emptied completely after a fixed retention time. Each design and each fermentation material is suitable for batch filling, but batch plants require high labor input. As a major disadvantage, their gas output is not steady. Another one is a continuous plant. In continuous plants, it's fed and emptied continuously. They empty automatically through the overflow when new material is filled in. Therefore, the substrate must be fluid and homogeneous. Continuous plants are suitable for rural households as the necessary work fits well in the daily routine. Gas production is constant and higher than in batch plants. Today, nearly all biogas plants are operating on a continuous mode. And there is also a semi-batch type biogas plant. If straw and dung are to be digested together, a biogas plant can be operated on a semi-batch basis. The slowly digested straw type material is fed in about twice a year as a batch load, and the dung is added and removed regularly in a continuous manner. Biogas produced from the anaerobic digestion process is collected and stored to manage fluctuation in the production and consumption rate. Biogas can be stored in the digestion tank in head space or in a separate storage vessel at low pressure. Once upgraded to biomethane, the gas is pressurized for use. Biogas can be used to produce electricity, heat, and for cooking purpose. Biogas can be burned directly. However, impurities can cause maintenance issues. Without removal, hydrogen sulfide and water can cause maintenance issues such as corrosion and affect its efficiency. Can be used in boilers in place of fossil fuels. When upgraded to biomethane, it can be used as a natural gas substitute. It can be injected into a gas network for heating and cooking. It can be also used as a transport fuel. So biogas when upgraded to biomethane can be used as a transport fuel and for gas injection, and when they are removed of the impurities it can be used in gas turbine, internal combustion engine, boiler and steam turbine, in fuel cells, thereby generating electricity and heat. Depending on the intended use of the biogas, it may be cleaned or upgraded. Its organic, water and CO2 can be removed and the hydrogen sulfide can be reduced to 5 parts per million. The techniques used for this include biological desulfurization, oxidation, physical absorption, water scrubbing, chemical absorption, pressure swing absorption, and membrane separation. Now let's see few of the advantages and disadvantages of biogas. It's a eco-friendly and production of biogas by biogas plant provide employment, and it produces organic fertilizer that can be used in agriculture purposes. It is simple and low cost technology and it reduces greenhouse effect. Coming to the disadvantages, it is not attractive in large scale and there is only few technological advancement. It may contain impurities if not treated, and it is not suitable for dense metropolitan population. Biogas can be utilized for cooking, lighting, operating small engines and for pumping water, and the size of biogas plant depends upon the size of family and the purpose for which biogas is utilized. Also, let's see few of the advantages of biogas as a fuel. It has high calorific value, it's a clean fuel, no residue is produced and no smoke is produced, it's non-polluting, it's economical, it can be supplied through pipelines, it burns readily and has a convenient ignition temperature. Few of the advantages of the biogas plants. It reduces burden on forest and fossil fuels. It produces a clean fuel and helps in controlling air pollution. It provides nutrient-rich manure for plants. It controls water pollution by decomposing sewage, animal dung and human excreta. Few of the limitations of biogas plant is that its initial cost of installation of the plant is high and the number of cattle owned by an average family of farmers is inadequate to feed a biogas plant. Now let's see its potential environmental benefits. It reduces reliance on fossil fuels. It diverts waste from landfill. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Provides a valuable fertilizer or soil improver. Reduces reliance on chemical fertilizers and associated production emissions. It can reduce odor intensity of waste. It reduces pathogens and reduces weed seeds. It is also having a negative impact on the environment if not properly managed. The first one is the odor. The feedstocks can cause odorous emissions and this can be managed through an odor management plan and suitable control and abatement techniques, for example, inside storage. Next one is the water emissions. Runoff from waste stored outside. Site must be bundled to prevent leaks in the event of tank failures. Next one is the emission of bioaerosols from the storage areas. Then air emissions from burning biogas. Next one is the proximity to sensitive receptors and the potential litter if waste is contaminated. So, solid waste management is a process of removal of solid waste in such a manner that it does not cause any problem to environment and the living organism as well. It is done through different methods as per the category of the solid waste. We have already discussed about a number of methods like landfills, encapsulation, incineration, anaerobic digestion, composting, vermicomposting, methanogenesis and the production of biogas from the solid waste. The fundamental objective of waste processing is to reduce the amount of waste through recycling and disposal of waste in a way not to impair environmental conservation. The 4R should be followed for waste management, that is refuse, reuse, recycle and reduce. The management of the solid waste is done according to its nature, like the management of medical solid waste, management of non-degradable solid waste, management of hazardous waste, management of non-hazardous and biodegradable waste, management of electronic waste. The hospital waste is generated during the diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings or animals or in research activities. These include both non-hazardous waste and hazardous waste, and the treatment options for these kinds of waste are by incineration and sanitary landfill. The examples of non-degradable solid waste include steel, aluminum, iron, glass, plastic, textiles, and the treatment options for these kinds of waste are recycling, sanitary landfill, incineration. And the management for hazardous waste include processes like physical separation, gravity separation, dissolved air flotation, solvent extraction, sorption on activated carbon, and their treatment options include thermal treatment, which is incineration, and other biological treatment can also be applied for these. And for the management of non-hazardous and biodegradable solid waste, we can use the open tubs, landfills, anaerobic digestion, composting, vermicomposting methods. And the next major concern is the management of the electronic waste or the e-waste. It is having toxicity and carcinogenicity because of the substances it releases if processed improperly. The toxic substances in electronic waste include lead, mercury and cadmium. Carcinogenic substances in electronic waste may include polychlorinated biphenyls or PCBs. A typical computer may contain more than 6% lead by weight. Capacitors, transformers, PVC insulated wires of polychlorinated biphenyls. You can see that the constituents like lead, cadmium, mercury that is released from the e-waste is having a significant damage to the human health, affecting its blood system, kidney damage, central nervous system, and their accumulation in kidney and liver, asthmatic bronchitis. So proper management of the e-waste is highly recommended and necessary. Since e-waste consists of diverse items like ferrous and non-ferrous metals, glass, plastics, electronic components and other items, the potential treatment options based on this composition are encapsulation, incineration and the sanitary landfill. Also, reusing the electronic waste in a creative and innovative way is also a good idea. You can see a stool that is formed from a whole lot of electronic junk. There are certain factors that affect the management of solid waste, and it includes per capita income and status, climate and percentage moisture, systematic growth of city, status of the municipality, and the available resources.